Thanks all. Before I say anything else, I want to first of all speak to something that matters much more than football and the issues that we deal with from week to week. On behalf of the Port Adelaide Football Club, our players, coaches, staff and our whole community, I want to express our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to Jordan Dawson, to his family, to his friends and to the entire Adelaide Football Club on the passing of his brother Jared. There are no words adequate for a moment like this, and our sincere thoughts are with them all at this most difficult time. With that said, I'd like to address the Zak Butters tribunal matter, and I want to be very deliberate about how I frame this. Our position today as a club is not about the outcome, it is about the process. And it is a distinction worth making clearly and carefully. I'm not going to comment on the grounds of our appeal and prejudice the outcome in any way. That process is in train and will take its course. What I will say though is that as an AFL industry, I know we can be better in terms of the process this week. We spend significant time, effort and invest in the well-being of our people and especially our players. This week we put a player, an umpire and an official in a situation which should have been handled so much better. We are the leading sport in Australia. Surely we can set up a process that addresses conflict, which will invariably happen in a game where there is so much passion and emotion, but do it in a way which also respects and protects our people. We all love the passion and an emotion of our players in the battle. It's what makes our game so special and connects us to them and the people they are. All three individuals deserve better than what this week has put them through. We are not here today to challenge any individual. We're here because we believe, as an industry, we should be better than how this week has played out. This week, we've subjected people to a process that has caused unnecessary stress and harm to them and their families. I reflect on the contrast of last week, Gather Round. What a wonderful week for the game and our community, a celebration of everything great about our game and the power it has to bring people together. Think about the iconic imagery of the fans from every club standing united on Sunday night at Adelaide Oval, singing Never Tear Us Apart. 1 week later, we find ourselves here doing the very opposite of that. We all have a role to play in this, the clubs, the AFL, the AFLPA and the media. We have a responsibility to our players and officials to be better. Port Adelaide's position is straightforward. The tribunal process needs to be reformed. It is too legalistic, it's too adversarial, and it places people under a level of scrutiny and stress that is disproportionate to the nature of the incidents it is designed to resolve. Thank you very much. In terms of the specifics of our appeal against Zak's verdict, under AFL regulations, I'm unable to speak to the specifics or the content of that appeal at this stage. We anticipate the hearing to be held early next week, and when we have more information on that, we will of course share that. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Richard, what would you like to see change? What would the club like to see changed about the tribunal process?
Well, I think, as I said, you know, we're the premier sport in Australia. We've got the resources in order to be able to make sure we manage these situations properly, and like we do in so many other situations, actually put the people who are involved at the core of that process.
How far are you willing to take this? With that, I mean, if the appeal fails, are you willing to take it to court to defend Zak?
Yeah, no, it's not about, as I said, this is not about the specifics of the case or the appeal. It's actually, I think it's a responsibility of all of us, and when I say all of us, I mean it's the AFL, it's the clubs, and the PA, in actually, I think we will all agree that the process can be much better.
Which, with all due respect to what you're asking here, last year Chris Davies was very strong about the Rioli saga and how not enough is being done for Indigenous players. There's been the AFLPA talking for a long time about the need for a framework. Nothing's changing. What gives you confidence that this pitch is going to actually lead to something? Because in the past we haven't seen much change in the league.
Yeah, it's not a pitch. It's our position is that based on the experience of this week and what we've put some people through, we've caused significant stress and harm to some people and their families. I think we would all agree that we can be better.
I guess what I'm saying is the AFL time and time again hasn't changed, so what gives you the confidence that they will this time?
Oh, well, I'm not putting it just on the AFL. I'm putting it on all of us. I think we can all be better. We've got an amazing game. We've got incredible people. We've got stars of the game. And as I said, think about Sunday night at Adelaide Oval. Think about last week, the way that the whole community came together and the way that football came together. We all experienced it. That's the best of our game. This week, I think all it does is highlight to me that as an industry, all of us together can be better.
Do you feel the tribunal hearing was unprofessional at times?
Look, I'm not here to cast aspersions on the hearing itself, but I think there are things through that hearing where we put people, jurors themselves, in situations that they just shouldn't have been in.
I guess one of them was Jason Johnson in the car. I guess kind of tuning into it in the car as he was going to what he said was an open house. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, look, again, all I would say to that is surely as an industry, we're professional enough now that we can have a panel of people available 100% on a Monday or a Tuesday night, knowing that there's likely to be a tribunal hearing that can invest all of their time in that moment. I actually have significant empathy for that situation because I just don't think that person should have been put in that situation.
Are you expecting early next week? You're sort of planning for the appeals here?
Yeah, we're expecting early next week.
Would you feel comfortable with Nick Ford umpiring Port Adelaide games in the future this season? Do you feel like a lot of time have to pass before you actually umpire a game again?
Yeah, look, this is actually not about, I don't really want to talk about the individual, about the case at hand or even necessarily the individuals. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, let's not forget, it's an emotional game. There's 48,000 people there. It's highly charged. And I think on the whole, all of those people do an incredible job at what we're doing. The point I'm trying to make is I think as an industry, as a game, we can do better for them and not put them into these situations.
Perfect word, would you prefer like a mediation mechanism in the tribunal system?
Yeah, all of that. I think let's actually get together and determine a process that's going to, one, support our people, but two, we understand that we're in a game where there's always going to be conflict. It's one of the great things about our game. But does it need to be as legalistic as what it is at the moment? Can we resolve the differences that are in the game in a different way? And I don't have the answers to that, but I do think that there are enough people in the industry, smart people in the industry, that can find a better solution.
Do you think that will close the gap or the us versus them between players and umpires?
We should be doing, we're all partners in the game, whether it be, the players, the officials, the umpires, media. We're all partners in this incredible game, and as I said, once again, we all saw the power of that last week, and with Gather Round in South Australia and what it can do when it brings people together, and we're focused on the great things about our game. Here we are this week, we've reverted into the things that maybe aren't so great in our game.
How's that after this week?
Yeah, Zak was angry and really disappointed on Tuesday night. He bounced into the club on Wednesday morning. He's a terrific young man. He's a leader of our footy club, and he'll move on as he has with that. But that doesn't take away the disappointment and anger that he felt in the process on Tuesday night.
Do you hope that he doesn't get, officiated differently because it's been so public? Because I guess you maybe even expect umpires to sit together. Are you hoping that he doesn't get officiated differently as a result of it?
Yeah, I don't think that happens in the game.
Were you disappointed at the bottom of the tribunal findings that it mentioned the fact that he'd had a significant number of sightings at the tribunal and reportable offences? Was that necessary, do you feel, to put that in there?
Again, I just keep coming back to the process. I think, I'm very strong on the view that the process can be better.
How are things with the club and the AFL after this week? I imagine they'd be pretty testy.
No, not at all, because we're all partners in the game. We all want the game to be better. I don't think anyone wanted to be in the position that we're in right now on this issue, because all it does is highlight the things that can be better about our game. So no, we've had ongoing conversations with the AFL all week.
How much empathy do you have for Nick Foot? I'm not sure you've seen the copious amounts of abuse he's been copying.
No, I haven't, but I do have a sense of, again, what happens in the media and social media and how impactful it can be. And I guess that's my point, is what we've done here is we've put 3 people in a situation that has caused significant stress for them and their families, and I think I know that we can do that better.
You say this is about more than just this issue. How long has this issue been on your radar? Has it been something that's previously been raised, or has this just brought it to the forefront in your opinion?
Well, I think we would all say that over the last few years, we could all come up with examples. You talked about the Willie Rioli issues last year. We could all think of issues where these matters are dealt with, and I just think that it's got to a point where there's got to be a better way of doing it than creating the angst and the stress for people that we're doing at the moment. We're not, no one's committed murder here. It's a game of footy. There's an enormous amount of emotion. They're outstanding people, all of them in their own right. Can we find a process that actually doesn't drag them through what they've been through this week? Because ultimately all of them are the victims of what's happened this week.
What you've seen has been pretty much mirrored by Sam Mitchell, Brett Scott, with Chris Fagan. Does that give the club any comfort that there will be, I guess, a groundswell to change the process and to support what you're calling for?
Yeah, look, I hope so. Again, as I said, I think it's on all of us. It's on the clubs, it's on the AFL, it's on the players, and I think we've shown, like last week, when we all come together, this is an incredible game with incredible people. We'll find the solution, but let's use this as the moment to do that.
Do you feel?
Thanks, Eric. Last one.
Oh, sorry. Do you feel 2 of your more senior players have been labelled liars, and then if so, how does that sit with you, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, clearly we were and really disappointed that the integrity of Zak and Ollie have come into question through this process. And in all of that, we're not calling anyone a liar through this process. But again, let's not forget, as I've said, it's an emotion-charged environment. It's completely reasonable that things are misconstrued or misheard. We've got 2 outstanding characters there, and of course we'll support them. With great strength.